just want to thank everyone for joining today. This is the Society of Thoracic Surgeons Intermax and Pedimacs User Group webinar. It's July 28th. It's a little after 1 p.m. Central Time. We will go ahead and get started for today's webinar. I just want to introduce the Intermax Data Warehouse team. We have Patricia Potter, who's the Intermax Nurse Monitor, and you have probably received Intermax queries from her, and she also helps answer the data entry questions. We have Ms. Jeannie Ann Love, who's our patient management director and helps with the patient transfer and also data entry questions. Dr. Ron Cantor, who's our PhD statistician and director of the reporting. He's also a prime factor in the dashboard and analytical tools. Dr. Rama Raduraju, who's also our PhD in-house and director of programming, and he is in charge of all the programming to make the Intermax and Pedimacs databases great, and responsible for the Intermax dashboard. We also, I don't believe, I do see, we have Maceo Clige, who's our clinical data analyst who assists with the reports. And we have John Pennington, who's our senior data manager who assists with helping get the data, clean it up, put it in the builds. He kind of helps get the data packaged and helps in all facets of the Intermax and Pedimacs database. So that's our team from UAB. From STS, we have Carol Crone, who's our senior clinical database manager, Addie Dolan, who's one of our coordinators for STS, and Emily Conrad, who is our senior coordinator and assist in meetings and also communications and assist with other aspects of the database. So I want to welcome everyone. Today, really our agenda, I've already done the welcome and introductions. I'll go through some updates that we have for not only the future webinars, but also for new features for the database, Intermax database, and we also gonna speak about AQO 2021, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions and user feedback. So before we move on to our COVID-19 update that we should all probably be getting used to regarding data entry and visits, let's go ahead, and I want to go ahead and just let you guys know some updates that we're going to be making to the webinars. So we're going to start having, this is a great webinar for the Intermax users and Pedimax users, but as we evolve, I think we are going to split out Pedimax and have some just specifically webinars towards the Pedimax user group, since that database does function differently than the Intermax database, and give that the Pedimax community some time to have their own webinar and ask questions. Another update will be, we'll also have database new user webinars. And I believe we'll have those, and we'll begin those in September. And that'll be for all the new users for Intermax and Pedimax. I also wanted to tell you some updates. We have two new tools that one new tool and an update to an existing tool. And then we have some updated adverse events that are going to launch at AQO this year. So we're working on a dashboard. It's going to be an interactive dashboard for the users for the Intermax database. It's going to be very interactive. I think that the users, you'll really enjoy it. And we also are, we're in the process of updating our adverse event definitions in the forms. And those are both coming along greatly. Our goal is to have the adverse event fields and definitions to the users before AQO. So when we're discussing it at AQO, you'll have some really good questions to ask in regards, and there will be training. I will start training on those updated AE definitions prior to the release. The next thing I wanted to talk about is AQO 2021, which the Intermax Day is going to be October 12th, 2021. It is going to be a virtual meeting this year. I do want to let you know for the Intermax and Pedimacs users, registration does start tomorrow. It is free actually to anyone, to the physician representatives and to the data managers, the data entry coordinators, and the backup coordinators that are associated with an Intermax or Pedimax site. So the registration, you should receive an email regarding that tomorrow. If you do not, when you click on the link, you may have to, specifically for Intermax and Pedimax and other users, you may have to contact the STS database email for them to properly register you, but it should be very straightforward. And Emily, is there anything that I missed out or misspoke?
Nope, all sounds good. We look forward to your participation. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope everyone joins us here, especially it's going to be free. But not only that, this AQO, for those that are not familiar with it, it's Advances in Quality and Outcomes. And this is your meeting. I mean, it's targeted specifically for the data managers and what we call data coordinators in Intermax and Pedimacs. So this is your chance. This meeting's totally for you all. So I hope everyone can join this year. We have some really good topics. There may be a preliminary agenda already posted on the website.
Yes, there is.
Okay, great. And there's going to be some very interesting live talks and panels, and you'll have the ability to ask questions. And there will also be some recorded talks that are really good. Just a reminder before we get started with the questions, we do encourage your feedback. And so once I get started, you can put your questions in the Q&A box, and then we'll answer them to the best of our ability. If we cannot answer them today, we will get back to you. So before we get started with the questions, just a reminder, we're still doing our COVID-19 protocol. So televisits are encouraged for this patient population. So you may do the quality of life surveys may be done over the phone or by mail. I know that's really difficult by mail, but if you can get it done, that's great. But we appreciate everyone just trying to get the data entered during this time. Also, if the follow-up visits are done outside of the visit window, you can enter the last date of the follow-up date visit into the database. So if the last date of follow-up per Intermax, let's say it was June 30th, but the patient didn't come in until July 6th, that's fine. Just put June 30th in that follow-up date. And if you have any questions or need any clarification, you can email myself or Patricia about that. And you have 30 days after the follow-up window due date to enter the data for the COVID-19 exception. Here's some contact information. You have myself. I'm the STS National Database Manager for Intermax and Pedimacs. And we also have Patricia Potter's information. And she can definitely also assist you in those clinical questions. And then for any database operational questions, you can email the Intermax FAQ at sts.org email. There's also, this slide has some resources on it. This will also be posted, this webinar and the slides are posted on the STS website. And so you can definitely, you can review these after the webinar if you have any questions. And so I think we will go ahead and get started with our question and answers. Well, at this time, we don't have any question and answers. Rama, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you want to take a minute to discuss the dashboard, or Ryan, that would be great. If you can have a brief summary.
Yeah, sure, Catherine. I'll say a few words and Ryan can jump in after that. So we are very excited to develop the dashboard and launch it by AQO. So we have, so this is for sites to get a summary, a snapshot and a summary of the data that they're entering into Intermax. And it will provide a few highlights. Is it'll have cohorts, so you could select different cohorts and based on the standard filters, and that'll give counts, and based on the cohorts it'll give counts, and also benchmark comparison with all of Intermax. So cohort counts, benchmark comparison, and also a trend of how the data is changing over time. So those are some of the features. And then, so these benchmarks and comparisons we are showing for, we're going to show that for each of the cohorts, and also for the different adverse event rates, and also some of the summary information about each site. So, Catherine, do you want me to show this? Do you want me to show the markup tool? Will that be useful, or just a summary is good?
If you have it and you want to show it, you can go ahead and show the markup tool. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, just a second. Okay. So meanwhile, Ryan, do you have anything to add?
I think that's a great overview, and this is all developed through feedback from key user focus group, and then as well as some of the main PIs. So we hope we're targeting really important and useful information to make it really at the site's fingertips, how they want to interact and extract useful information for their different purposes at the hospital and potentially JCO visits.
Yes, I do think it's very helpful. I know it's been in the works for a while, and I think it's just something the users will really appreciate and utilize pretty frequently, hopefully very frequently. I think also this can functions will be added to this, correct? I know we're going to launch it in October, but there are features that can be added to it. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. And one of the key things we're trying to do with this launch is to have a few very specific exhibits, but in key target areas. Like one area is summarizing things like an accounting of events that happen per calendar quarter at the hospital. So we'll have a few things like that. A few other things are set up in terms of like cohort comparison, your site versus all of Intermax. We wanted a few patient characteristics and things like length of stay, and then a few targeted outcome metrics. So we wanted to get a wide range of types of exhibits with a few examples in each for this launch. But then absolutely, we want to get as much feedback as possible for sites. Any ideas? I see we have one question about, can we look at different quarters, years instead of quarters? Not for the October launch, but we want that information, because if that's going to be really important to people, we want to incorporate, we want it to evolve to be as relative as possible. So, we want to make a list of all of those ideas and prioritize them with STS leadership.
I will go ahead and stop, Rama, if you're ready, if you have that pulled up.
I do, Catherine, yes.
Okay.
Are you able to see the dashboard?
Yes.
Okay. So this is just to give a rough idea. This is still a mock-up. So the final version might look completely different, but just to give you an idea. So these are the different cohorts that are available, where you could filter all of the data by selecting these different types of filters for device types, device strategy, and gender, and all of these different filters. And then there's a section that will show a summary information about data entered this quarter, and then about each of the cohorts will show a breakdown of the information for each of the, for example, for device types, will show the number of LVADs, RVADs, BIVADs, and THs, and then a trend, and then also site compared with Intermax, and And then down below, so this is for each of the different cohorts. And the second thing, we also have a few metrics. So for example, hospital length of stay. And then for hospital length of stay, we're also showing trend over last 4 quarters. The benchmark, so this is the site compared to Intermax, and also so benchmark where the percentile of what is the site's percentile compared to all of Intermax, and also information about site compared with Intermax. Okay, so there are a few other metrics, and then also the adverse event rates. So different adverse event rates. So this could be infection rate, bleeding rate, and others. So this is the full extent of what we started with on the mockup. For the October launch, we are developing some of these features, not all of the displays, but some of them, the most prominent or the most important features from these. And as Catherine said, we'll be adding more in the future. We'll be adding more displays and more features as we go along.
Yeah, thanks, Rama. Thanks for that overview.
Yeah, no problem.
So I will go ahead at this time. It looks like we have some Q&A, some questions in the box. So the first one is from Brenda, and she's asking, does Intermax have a definition for right heart failure? Yes, we do, Brenda. It can actually be it actually is in the Intermax adverse definitions sheet, which is on the website. I can definitely, if you email me after the webinar, I can send you the link to it. But we do have a definition for it. It's actually a very long definition. It's about 2.5 pages. And as you know, currently we're collecting right heart failure as a zone. So it's on all the follow-up forms, there are questions regarding clinical symptoms and manifestations of right heart failure that you answer. But with the upgrade, you will be able to enter right heart failure as an individual adverse event. I'm not going to get into that right now, but when we have our training webinars about the updated definitions, we'll definitely dive into all that.
Catherine, Patricia, I can take the next question.
Okay, great.
Okay. I had a patient admitted to observation with suspected GI bleeding. It was determined she had bleeding hemorrhoids and was DC. No drop in hemoglobin or blood required. Is this a AE bleeding event? No. So if the patient was admitted just to observation and had a stay of less than 24 hours, then it would not be considered rehospitalization. And if there was no blood transfusion, then no. So an episode of suspected internal or external bleeding, it needs to either meet death, reoperation, hospitalization, or transfusion. So no, in this case, no, that wouldn't be a bleeding event.
Thanks, Patricia. Okay, the next question from Melissa. Will the new dashboard give the ability to trend volumes and outcomes year to year instead of quarters for 6 quarters or 3 to 5 year groups? And I think you answered that, Ryan, but if you want to speak some more about that, you can.
Yeah, just briefly, I think, to be clear, for our October launch, we've set our specifications. So initially, it's going to be based on the last 4 quarters. That being said, it makes total sense to build it in where there's a flexibility and the user could select kind of like what that time gradient is. But that would have to be in the phase 2 launch of that. Is that kind of a fair assessment, Rama?
Yeah, Ryan, that's correct. Yes.
But I think it would be really awesome to have those features because we're sitting on the data. We'll have all the tools set up in place. We just had to, create a defined specifications for this first launch.
Yeah, thank you both, Ryan and Rama. Appreciate that. And again, appreciate all the work that UAB's done on this. And then Diane asked if we could show a demonstration, and Rama just did that. There will be more, like I said, at AQO. Obviously, there's going to be very thorough review of this and of the dashboard, and there will be time to ask questions. But it'll be one of the highlights at the Intermax Day at AQO, and we're very excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is very exciting.
Yeah. So if there's any other question and answers, or any other questions, you can please post them in the Q&A box, and we'll get to them. Again, for those that join late, the AQO, the Data Managers Meeting, the Intermax Day is October 12th. And registration will open tomorrow, and you should receive your email. I'm thinking tomorrow morning, most likely, in regards to that. So you can go ahead and get yourself signed up. We will there are some, like I said earlier, there's some really good talks regarding the dashboard and the updated adverse events. There will be case scenarios and just some really good talks. Devin will be back this year with her live data downloads. And so it'll be exciting. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Catherine.
Yeah, thank you. Doesn't look like there's any more Q&A, any more questions. If you think of some that when we're done with the webinar that you wish you would have asked, you can email myself or Patricia or the Intermax FAQ email box. But thank you.
Hey,
Thanks,
Catherine.
everyone.
Oh,
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
don't go. I see one person, and maybe you already answered her question. I see Dawn McCaw has her hand raised.
Oh,
And Shauna also.
okay.
Oh, their hands are down. Oh, now Tana has her hand is down. All right, everybody's testing out the raise hand function. That's funny. Never mind.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Thanks,
All right,
everyone.
thank you.
Everyone have a great rest of your day. Thanks, UAB team, for joining us. And that was a great demonstration, Rama.
Sure. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thanks, everybody. Great job.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.